Now then everybody, it's Dan from homefiddy.com and I must quickly apologise for the delay in making this video. It's taken a long time for me to get around to doing another one of these home gym buyer's guides. And I haven't really got an excuse other than I am a proper lazy bastard. That is it really. But we're going to get into this one, and this one is going to be on benches. But first, a message from our sponsors. Since drinking beer is now classed as fitness related, I'm going to be able to shine because I'm pretty damn good at drinking beer. So this was all started by Brian Nielsen, who seems to be now putting up countless vlogs on beers and beer shopping and beer drinking and beer reviews, which is much better than bench pressing. But anyway, let's get into this video. On the scale of importance of your home gym, I would say the bench is one of the least required or least necessary bits of equipment in your gym. I know that sounds a bit strange and a bit shocking, but the thing is that on your bench you are most likely going to be doing bench press and possibly some form of seated press, and that's probably it. Now, I'm going to get more into this, but both those exercises can be done either on the floor or standing up. Obviously you can't bench press standing up, but you can overhead press and you can do floor press. So if you had a rack and barbells and weights or dumbbells, you're sorted. You don't need a bench to be able to start training that in your home gym. You'll be able to train everything else as long as you've got the rack and the barbell. So it's like way down on the list, you know what I mean? But anyway, there are multiple types of benches you can get. I'm only really going to be focusing on the two that I've got and the main things to look at, but I'll quickly touch on one of them right now, and that is called a bench station or a competition bench. Now, those are the ones where it's a bench with a fixed pair of racks by the sand, you know. It's got two stands up it. Now, they sometimes come with spotter bars, or usually they just don't have spotter bars at all, because generally you would have spotters at a competition. You know, you'd have human spotters, so you don't really need them. Now, if you've got the room for one, brilliant, buy one, yeah? But if you haven't got the room, it's not going to be any good to you because you're not going to be able to get it in and out of your rack in order to bench, you know, and they are very heavy to move around, so it ain't going to be useful. Now, one thing somebody asked me before was they were going to buy a bench station, and they asked me if it was okay to use it for squatting with. Now, you can squat with them. My American chum Freaky D, I've seen him using his to squat with, which is fine, it can be done, but I bet if you ask him, he'll tell you it's awkward as fuck. So it's not really optimal, it's not ideal, it's not fit for purpose. So that's out of the question, if you ask me. So the two benches that we're going to be talking about today are what's known as utility benches, or FID benches, which are flat incline decline benches, and the standard flat bench. Now I'm going to put up a couple of pictures of my flat bench along with my utility bench. They're side by side, and you've got to excuse the mess because it's pretty messy in here. Again, like I say, I'm pretty fucking lazy. One thing you'll notice straight away is the difference in height between these benches. My utility bench is fucking huge compared to my flat bench. It's a lot higher off the ground. Therefore, think about it, you need longer legs to be able to use it properly. Okay, so let's talk about these benches. What should you be looking for when you're buying one of these benches? Now, first thing you need to be looking at, this is more important than anything else, and I don't care if you're looking for a bench that can do incline with or decline, you need to look at this more than anything else. You need to know what the bench is rated for, and that is the maximum weight or maximum load that you can have on the bench. Now, the maximum load of the bench takes into account your body weight as well. So let's say you weigh 100 kilos, yeah? And you can bench 140 kilos, yeah? You need a bench that can handle 240 kilos minimum, and you're cutting it fine, bare minimum, for it to be classed as a safe piece of equipment, yeah? Because you might start getting stronger, which you probably will, and say you go to bench 180 kilos one day, and you're still 100 kilos, that's 280 kilos, that's 40 kilos more than what it's rated for. I'm not saying it will happen, but things are rated for a reason, and say one day you get under the bar and you unrack, and you've got that 180 there, what do you think could happen? Yep, the bench could go. And where are you going to go? You're going to go as well. Now, you're probably going to have your spotter bars up, which I would hope you would have. Otherwise, that bar's going on you. You're still going to hurt yourself because you're going to drop a fair few inches and it's going to hurt and it's going to shock you. So it's not going to be nice. So the whole point of lifting is to lift safely so that you don't get injured. So you don't want to make a silly mistake of using a bench that's too low rated for what you can do or how heavy you are. Now, when you are looking at the rating, you might find that a lot of the cheaper benches aren't rated very high. And I'm talking the type of benches like you might shop at Argos if you're in the UK, and you might find those weight sets where you get plastic filled dumbbells or plastic filled barbells where you fill them with sand or water. Those benches are not rated to much at all. They're really weak. I mean, if you get on them, you'll notice straight away that they're really wobbly and they're shaking about and they're just shit, you know what I mean? So stay away from them. One thing to take into account is that if you want a utility bench, i.e. a flat incline decline bench, you're going to find that the cheaper ones are not rated very high, mainly because of all the moving parts in there. All of them have different stress points and they're only going to be able to handle so much weight. So the more expensive ones are going to be able to handle quite a lot of weight. If I remember right, the one I've got, the body solid one, I think it's rated to about 350 kilos or something daft like that for a utility bench, and I paid through my arse for it, so I know it can handle quite a lot of weight. Saying that, I ended up buying another bench, the flat bench, for about 70 quid off eBay, brand new. I know somebody on YouTube that has actually bought the same bench as me, and I'm pretty certain he's happy with it as well. But it's rated really highly again. I think it's rated to £700 or something like that. I'm sure it's something high, but it's a solid bench because the more solid the bench is, you've got no moving parts, you're going to be able to use much thicker material, and the welds are going to be a lot more stronger, and you'll be able to handle more weight. Simple as that. So you've got to look into the rating. If it's not rated high enough for you, don't buy it. Simple as that. Second most important thing that you need to look into is the height of the bench. If you're buying a bench and it's too high, you're going to find you're going to struggle to get your feet on the floor to bench properly. You're going to be on your tiptoes, if anything. You're not going to be able to get into a comfortable position, and you're definitely not going to be able to get a proper arch. Now, you don't always need to bench with an arch, but in powerlifting, people generally say you should. So you're not going to be able to get that proper arch because your feet are either going to be touching the floor. So you're going to have to chuck your feet up with some blocks, or you're going to have to find some way of decreasing that gap between you and the floor. I had this problem with my utility bench. That's why I ended up buying the flat bench, and I use the flat bench all the time now. It's all I use, and it's a lot shorter, but it's within the spec. I think for competitions, it's something like the bench can be no more than either 16.5 inches or something stupid like that. I can't remember off the top of my head, but I know it's not as high as the utility bench I've got. So again, make sure you know the height of the bench that you buy, and make sure that you know you're going to be able to get your feet on the floor, because it's not good otherwise. Okay, so we're just going to quickly talk into whether or not I think you should buy a utility bench. Now, my utility bench can go fully upright, so you can do shoulder pressing. It's full 90-degree angle. It can go to incline, any incline you want, so you can do your incline presses. It also goes to full decline, so again, full range of motion, flat bench. You can do it all. It also comes with a leg developer, which you can do leg extension and leg curls. And I have to admit, when I first started training, I did use that quite a lot, but now I don't ever do leg extensions or leg curls. I just don't see the need to do them. I found much better exercises for training the required muscles. Basically, if you want to do a lot of incline work, you can just chalk up one side of a flat bench, and you'll be able to get yourself a decent incline angle. You'll still be able to do incline work. Same goes for decline. You'll be able to chalk up the feet, and you'll be able to get yourself a little decline on the go. The only downside is that you won't really have anything to hold your feet down. So as you're benching on a decline, you'll be going, oh, and sliding down the bench, which is no good really. It's not going to do you any favours. So you need to weigh up whether or not you think you're going to use that utility bench. Are you going to use the leg curl? Are you going to use the leg extension? You can sometimes get preacher curl attachments that sit on, it's just a pad. Are you going to use that? Do you think you're going to do seated shoulder press? I mean, I used to do it quite a lot, and now I don't really do it. And to be honest, you can still do seated shoulder press on a flat bench and support yourself. You know, you use a lot more of your core. So, are you going to use it? Are you going to do a lot of incline work? Are you going to do a lot of decline work? You need to answer these questions. This is something you need to think about. Me personally, I don't really do much incline, and I don't do much decline either. So, I would say no. Just go for a flat bench and save your money. That is just me. Anyway, I hope this has helped you out. I'm going to put a link in the description box below for the bench that I've got, the flat bench. I'm not going to bother putting in my utility bench, or I'll try to if I can find it, but I don't think it's made anymore. But I'm going to put everything below in the description box so you can check it out and see what you think. So yep, there you go. Please like, share, friends, subscribe if you're not already. And I will soon be having another home gym buyer's guide up, and I'm going to be looking at like attachments, shit like that, you know, stuff for your cables. Which ones I think you should buy and which ones I use the most. So there you go. Cheers.